Thank you, Jivanta. Venerable clergy, speakers, representatives of leading national organizations, and distinguished guests. This statement is addressed to all the embassies, high commissioners, envoys, consulates, and international organizations in Sri Lanka. A nation's strength depends on its citizens, its people. This is why we are all gathered here today. We have weathered much throughout a written history exceeding 2,600 years. Our ancestors defended the nation against 20 overall invasions. We suffered unspeakable crimes under 3 colonial rulers. Many of the nations that once colonized the world are presently promoting human rights and accountability without atoning for their crimes committed across 500 years. All of the former colonies suffer the legacies of forcibly enforced divide and rule policies. Post-colonial international system has been unfairly designed to continue the cycle of unfair trade, debt, and interest that third world nations are victims of. A new global rest in pilfering whatever resources and assets third world nations are left with under a new global corporate governance, weakening the Westphalian nation sovereignty system. Post-independent Sri Lanka was also plagued by foreign-funded political opportunism, insurrections, armed militancy that caused immeasurable loss of life and limb. The gun was used to serve governance and separate Sri Lanka. The period covering 1980s to 2009 witnessed assassinations, suicide attacks, targeted bombing of unarmed civilians, public places, and religious sites. The international community had no solutions and they could not stop 30 years of terror. That terror was eventually eliminated in May 2009 by a humanitarian operation spearheaded by Sri Lanka's National Armed Forces, which eventually rescued 297,853 Tamils held hostages and as human shields by the LTTE. Our proud war heroes became injured and sacrificed 30,000 men to once again bring the nation under one flag. Sri Lanka drew up a successful homegrown national framework for post-conflict, combining rehabilitation, resettlement, and integration. Unfortunately, after commending Sri Lanka for the successful rescue operations and end to decades of terrorism, Sri Lanka was plagued with successive intrusive and legally questionable UNHRC resolutions. Even statute and Sri Lanka-friendly individuals like Lord Nesubi has highlighted the discrepancies at play, while eminent international terrorism experts have legally negated the allegations against Sri Lanka. The truth will one day prevail, exposing the imbalanced stand taken against a nation that was defending itself against terror and the National Armed Forces tasked to protect the lives of its citizens. Until such times, we will continue to defend the nation and all those who came forward to defend the nation during this gruesome period. A handful among us, the international community, say fit to place confidence in well-funded propaganda for domestic political gain, interested of drawing factual, research-based conclusions and as such are directly contributing to negating the very reconciliation they claim to promote. Speaking vociferously on reconciliation and peace building while covertly assisting to divide the nation in a plethora of ways is unbecoming of these members of the international community. How many in the international community are aware of the number of minorities that have held top posts in Sri Lanka and continue to do so? Where is the discrimination? Have members of the international community done a survey on the public appointments held by minorities? No country will accommodate the demands made by religious separatist parties leaders. Why should Sri Lanka? We are a small nation made vulnerable by our geographical location. This is the root cause of the innumerable threats and challenges plague us at all levels. Economically, we have been weakened. Politically, we have been weakened, and now attempts to socially and culturally make us weaker is taking place. With the current effort to enforce 13th Amendment, our sovereignty is now at stake. Let the international community be reminded that numerous international agreements have been signed secretly, questioning their legal status. How valid are agreements signed under emergency without the contents of these documents revealed to the public, though the Constitution specifically states that Sri Lanka's sovereignty is in the peoples and is inalienable? The 1987 Indo-Lanka Accord was signed under emergency with MPs threatening to be sacked if they did not sign even the 13th Amendment. The 2002 ceasefire agreement was signed also in secrecy. Several international trade agreements have also been signed under secrecy. Bartering our nation's wealthy. These are all allegedly, legally and morally questionable and indefensible. Where is the transparency and democracy that the international community promotes? Therefore, if the nation's strength depends on its citizens, the people, it is time we raise and make our voice heard to tell our politicians to stop bartering the nation, its resources and assets, and to tell the international community to stop demanding Sri Lanka to barter its sovereignty by placing unfair allegations against Sri Lanka. Our message to the international community is simple. Help us, but not hinder or hurt us. Be our friend, not our foe, and not a foe camouflage as a friend. Thank you very much.